G'day friends, welcome to a very special video. I'm going to take you to work with me. So don't worry, you don't have to do anything. Just grab yourself a coffee, grab yourself a notepad if you're so inclined. I'm going to take you through the 7 days of work that I have. Now this isn't typical, and I say that because there is no typical work week for someone that is self-employed, in a creative business that is just doing a trillion things. So I just want to show you some of the stuff that I get up to and some of the things that I kind of implement as a daily routine and some things that just come and go out of nowhere. You've caught me at an interesting week because I have the release of my 2 new washi tapes this week, so we'll have a look at that too. But I guess what we'll start with first is what I'm doing right now. This is the proof of my second book that's coming out. I guess calling it book 2 was a weird thing to do because I released an Inktober book, but if you remember way back before that, if you've been following me since 2016 or 15, I think, 16. Let's just say 16. I released a book which was basically a collective works of the stuff that I had done through the year from 2015 to 2016, which is kind of when I started getting into all this art journaling. I just kind of wanted to put it all together in a collective, little place to look at and just kind of, just have it as a collection. And then I decided to sell some, and then people were interested in buying it, which was really, really fun. And I loved that whole thing. So I decided to do it again from the year of 2016 to 17, which was arguably much more jam-packed with content to choose from. So it's been a bit of a labor of love trying to figure out what to include and what not to. But I'm really, really happy with it, and I have the final proof, which will turn up later in this video, and you'll see me Instagram some of this stuff too. I'll talk more about Instagram later, but let me just say it is one of the most invaluable tools for a small business, for any business really. I mean, Instagram is just, it's the new age of modern marketing, and it is really, really important. So we'll talk about that later as well. What I'm getting up to here is filming, so you can see my stupid little setup. I've got the ring light, I've got my fake bit of wood paper down there, so it looks really nice. I've started using that recently because I think it brightens up the video a bit. I usually use just my wooden desk, but I was getting paint on it, and I thought, it would be better to get paint on this paper than it would be to get it on this desk. So I actually purchased that paper from a shop called Northern Drops on Etsy, and they specialize in like photo backdrops. So this is specifically sold for like flat lay photography, which is amazing, and I use it for Instagram. That's kind of why I bought it in the first place, and now I've just kind of commandeered it as a desk covering. But yeah, I'm totally into the backdrop. What I'm doing in this section is actually filming a video for YouTube. So if you're here, you probably already know that this is my YouTube channel, and I have a back catalog of tons of video content that I've released to YouTube because I love to share. I love to share my creative process. I love to share tips and tricks. I love to teach. I didn't think I liked to do any of this stuff until I started doing it, and I found a really great passion for it. I think it because, and we talk about this in church a lot, it just, if you've got a passion to teach, you've got to teach others to teach others, you know what I mean? Like, you're not bringing everyone close to you and holding them on so that, you can all do it together behind 4 walls and just keep it to yourself. Like, pay it forward. Take everything you can and give it to others so that they can share in the same joy that you have. So I really have taken that on as kind of a mission, that I just I nurture creativity in others, and that I really encourage it. And I want everyone to know just how fine it is to explore like all the different avenues of creativity that you might feel like doing. It's why, and I've said this before, it's why I called myself James Luke Burke Creative, because I could not settle on one. I couldn't choose one type of creative outlet or expression to choose. I didn't want to be, James Luke Burke illustration. I didn't want to be James Luke Burke paintings. I didn't want to be any of that. I wanted to be whatever I felt like being on that day, which I think is really important because creativity shows up in so many different ways, and I don't think you should try and restrict yourself, and I really do think you should explore all of those avenues. I have obsessive creating disorder. It's OCD, right? So it's really important to nurture that and encourage that in other people. So I definitely found that was my mission over time, and that's why I've decided to keep making YouTube content and you know, I first started the channel because I had to do an unboxing video, and I thought, well, since I've got it, let's just try it, you know? And now it's great. I mean, you can put AdSense money on there, and you can make some money off of your YouTube videos. It's a bit of a passive income stream, which is nice. Once the videos are up, you don't really have to do anything with them. So yeah, I mean, videoing is great, and I'll talk a bit more about videoing later, because I mean, a lot of this stuff I'll repeat throughout the course of the video, and I want to hit different points at different times. But I really do love YouTube for that reason, that I can take something, show you how I do it, and then put it up there for free so that people can just consume it and take what they want from it to go and do it themselves. And even if people are just doing it to listen to someone while they work, you know, I do that too. Sometimes I just put on my favorite YouTubers and just listen to them while I'm working. And sometimes I'll put on a TED Talk if I need to, you know, receive a bit of therapy while I'm working. Sometimes I'll put on a documentary if I just want to learn something. And, you know, your subconscious picks up a lot of stuff. You'd be surprised at, you know, even some of the language you pick up. I was watching Shark Tank over and over and over again, like a million Shark Tank videos, and then I went to go and voice over a video. I think it was the Patreon Q&A, or the first Q&A before that. And I think it was the Patreon one though. And someone even commented in the comment section that, have you been watching Shark Tank? Because I kept on saying, and for that reason, blah, blah, blah. Like all throughout the video, all through my voiceover, I kept saying, and for that reason, blah, blah, blah. Because watching so much Shark Tank, every time they deny it, like every time they're out, they go, and for that reason, I'm out. So you have no idea what kind of filters through your subconscious and ends up, you know, coming out of your mouth or coming out of your hand as you're drawing. Like it's just, I think it's really funny. So I definitely put YouTube on in the background and hope that some of that creativity from others just filters through me. And, you know, hopefully when I'm in the search of the perfect color for something, I've heard someone say it before and I find it right in front of me. I don't know. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, but you know what I'm saying? Like for YouTube, I just wanted to put it out there so that people could consume it. I don't have a problem with people learning. I don't have a problem with people trying it. You know, it's out there for public consumption, and I really like that avenue is open. I mean, the only thing you have to sit through is an ad. If you're so lucky, you get to skip that ad. I wouldn't tell you to not skip it, because honestly, I skip them too. But you know, it's the only thing you have to do to get access to this content. You could be accessing things like, I mean, I love to bring Steve into this as well, because whilst I'm sharing all of this stuff, Steve has a bunch of creativity and a bunch of knowledge that he could share too. And I think opening ourselves up like that and just being in this, you know, kind of communication with you guys, even though there is a computer screen in between us, you know, opening up the dialogue in the comment sections, I think it's really helpful for some people. I think, you know, for me, it was an avenue to feel less lonely. Even now, I mean, when I was recovering from my injury, I definitely spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos and feeling, you know, like it was a bit of an escape for me. And now when I'm working at home all the time by myself, I love to put Ali Brown on so it feels like I'm talking to someone. Hey Ali, shout out Ali. But yeah, so YouTube is great for that. Coffee before we teachy. That was a quote from Summer Heights High, Mr. G, a very irreverent Australian mockumentary that I loved when I was a teenager. I still love today, but I feel like maybe it's a bit inappropriate for people to watch. But if you know what I'm talking about, that's where the quote was from. This is my sketch planner. So I've got this morning routine going on lately where I journal in my Disney journals and write all of my feelings out, and then I do a bit of planning, just give myself a bit of a roadmap of what I might want to achieve in the day. And I love this sketch planner. It's such an absurd size, but it's become this scrapbook type planner for me. So I stick in all of my junk, and then I feel like I want to plan in it because I love the look of all the colorful junk, which is great. So loving that morning routine. I don't kill myself if I miss a day, but it has been helping. So I really do like that. Especially the writing all my feelings out. I mean, I don't typically do that. Even in my art journals and stuff, like I never really get too personal, but in those journals, because I know I'm not going to show anyone, really the only place that they can be seen is on here, and even then I give you a very brief look. But yeah, I just love writing it all out because, you know, I can celebrate some of my successes, but I can also write out some of my anxieties and my feelings. I can kind of document things that happened if I want to, and I generally just give myself the freedom to write whatever I want to write, and I don't worry about grammar or spelling or anything. Don't even worry about how legible my handwriting is. It's just getting it all out of my brain and putting it on the paper. So, if I need to congratulate myself for something, I can do that, because that's kind of one of the things I struggle with about being self-employed, is that there's no one really to tell you that you're doing a good job. I mean, there's a following and there's a community that lets you know that, which I'm super thankful for, but there's no boss kind of giving you that affirmation that you're doing the right thing. There's no seniority, there's no senior figure that kind of affirms you in that way, so it kind of stresses me out a little bit, and so I always make sure that I get some of those feelings out, and once they're in the journal, it's like, see you later, they're on paper, life be in it, let's move on. So it kind of resets me at 0, which is great, because then I can start my day feeling fresh and without kind of, any worry or stress. So I'm making the listing photos for the washi tapes for my Etsy. Etsy is a great platform. I'm not going to rave too much about it in this video. I really like it because the fees are kind of low. I feel like you're very protected with Etsy. There's lots of Etsy support as well. It's a great place because there's tons of people on there. So it's the essential, I feel like it's the best place for creatives to get foot traffic in the online space. Because obviously we don't have actual stores, but there are always people just on Etsy that might stumble across your stuff, and I trust Etsy because I've bought things from there before, and yeah, I don't know, I really do like it as a platform. I've been thinking about going the route of creating my own kind of website with an e-commerce section, but to be honest, at this point, I think Etsy it has really simplified the process for me, and whilst I'm still one person doing all of this, I need to keep on top of it, and I just don't think I can do that right now. Maybe if I got an employee, but I think that's a while away from happening. Oh, hey B, Queen Bee. This is them playing. Bianca's sitting on all of my work, which is fantastic. Steve never gets to see this, but I always say that they're generally, if I'm in the office, they're in the office, and they just play. Because all he sees when he comes home is Oliver being a nightmare and Bianca being upset and very, very angry. But I keep telling him that when he's away, so it's great now that I have video evidence, but when he's away, they're generally pretty chill. Oliver just sleeps everywhere and Bianca's just laying all over my work. But yeah, so now I'm putting together a lot of listing photos. I hate being on the computer, but you've got to do it, don't you? It's the least favorite part. It's my least favorite part of having my own business, but there's no getting around it. I'd love to be able to outsource every part of the computer process to somebody, but you just, it's okay. You figure out ways to make it painless for yourself. I take lots of breaks from the computer screen. I feel my heart goes out to anybody that sits in an office and looks at a computer screen all day. I don't know how you do it. I think you're the true heroes of this world, because I can't even imagine looking at a computer screen for longer than an hour at a time. I need to get away from it. It's not enough for me just to look away and kind of reset my eyes. I need to physically be out of the computer's presence, because I get really overworked by it. But I'm working on the listing photos. Listing photos are super important. If you're out there and you're looking for some advice, I guess, listing photos or any kind of photos that show off your products or your stuff are very, very important. I've said this, I kind of touched on this earlier about Instagram, and I might go into it again because I can't stress how important it is. When we're consuming, I feel like, for me anyway, the first thing that happens to me is I look at something and my eyes lay on it, and I form a ton of opinions, but in that very second that my eyes lay on something. So and most consumers are like that, and you're kind of selling. It's got to be a feast for the eyes, really. You've got to make sure that the colors kind of pop, that you're showing things in a way that you're happy to see them. I just can't stress how important photography is. If I don't really have to buy something, I can be quite frugal, and especially if I can make it myself, I'm probably not going to buy it. But I have a lot of things that I want, and the things that I want, typically I'll be pushed over the edge to buy them because they've been presented to me in a way that I buy into. So that could be photography, basically photography for me. I mean, you could really sell me something with a photo, but an infomercial as well. Like, you don't know how many times I've been so close to buying that stupid Roomba, that little robot vacuum cleaner. I don't believe in them at all. I think they're crazy. Mostly I think I wanted to buy them because I want to see the cats riding on them through the kitchen, but yeah, an infomercial can really get me. So it is really important that if you are trying to sell something, or even if you're trying to sell an image, like a brand, you're trying to sell an idea, it doesn't even have to be a product, you're just trying to convey a certain message, really put some time and effort into thinking about how your photo is doing that for you. You can totally change the mood of something by changing the filter on Instagram. So it's just, I don't know. It's really important, and I can't stress enough that photography is your best friend when it comes to advertising, but also cataloging. When you go through your old albums, I mean, you want to look at really nice photos, right? I'm getting way off topic. Like, I just had to say that, you know, I say it as well because I spend so much time on the photos. I want to make sure that it really is worth my while. So maybe I'm just tricking myself into believing it. But I really, really do think that photography is a big part of branding. I mean, it is. It's just, it is. Oliver has chosen a new spot to sleep. Bianca's since left that spot, and I guess he thought that was great for him. This is the new washi tape. I'm getting it all out of the box. I'm stacking them up and counting them. Because I have a surplus stock that I keep just for in case orders go wrong. You know, something gets lost in transit, or I need to replace a damaged order. I do keep a small selection of surplus. I kind of recount them every time I get a new batch because I have them written down, but I also don't trust myself sometimes. So I always kind of recount, and then I know where I can start from again. I pull out a surplus stock from this batch where I've added the old and the new, and then I'll relist everything with the appropriate numbers. But it is really important to count because the last thing I want is to have oversold it like plane seats. We all know how that goes. And then Instagram. Instagram's my best friend for marketing. I love Instagram. It's just so easy to show people what you're doing and to like build this excitement. And I mean, I love it. I don't know if all you guys have Instagram, but I think it is a really important thing to be on. If you have a business, I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't be on Instagram. And even if you love to look at pretty things, Instagram. So it's Wednesday. We're on day 3. Not technically a hump day because I do work 7 days a week. But let's just call it the hump day anyway. I do try to take Sundays off. I do try to observe a day of rest on Sundays. You know, not anything crazy, but even if I do things, it has to be just for me. Like, I don't really want to be filming on Sundays. I don't really want to be editing on Sundays. I generally like to do stuff that it's just very relaxing and stuff that I would probably just do because I was, you know, enjoying my time off anyway. But yeah, it's not Sunday, so let's not talk about Sunday yet. It is Wednesday. So today I actually have some things to be working on. I have other work that I do as well. Like, I don't just do what you see on Etsy. I do have commissioned work and commissioned pieces. I work for you know, clients sometimes where I do logo design. I used to do a lot more logo design, but I don't typically do it anymore. I get very selective about who I do that with. What you're seeing me draw here are just some mock-up sketches for new fragments packets. I know, shh. Don't tell anyone. It's a secret. I'm just putting it in this video. No, look, I'm doing new fragments packets. The first prototypes were really, really great and such an eye-opening experience for that. And so I'm really, really happy to be working on more. This chick did not make it in. But yeah, I'm still yet to decide on which ones I actually want to include. It's a difficult choice. There's Oliver, ready to be shipped out. Look at him. Just dirty cat. He's a trash cat. I'm working on a social media post about my oat coloring video that you saw me create in the first part of this video, so it's funny how it all jumps back and forth, and when I decide to list a video and when I decide to promote it, it can be really out of order sometimes. This is some of the client work that I was doing for a logo for a friend that does makeup, so I was working on some of that stuff for her and sending her a few thumbnail sketches and samples, which is great. I'll take you through some more of that stuff through the video as well. And then back to fragments. I mean, I can jump all over the place all day long. I don't really, I don't restrict myself. I don't say like, well, from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I'll be working on logo design. If I feel like doing, an hour of logo design or just catching a client up on something, I'll do that. And then if I feel like going back to the fragments, I'll do that. Because I've generally found out or figured out that you're most productive if you're doing the stuff that you want to be doing. And since I have the freedom to choose to do that, I will just jump around all day long. But fragments are something that I've been working on lately because I do need to get the rest of them all digitized and get all the cut lines done and send them off to the manufacturer so that they can come back. It is quite a process. I couldn't take you through the whole thing, but it is a process. And I feel like most of the difficult part is choosing. It's not even drawing it. I mean, I love the drawing part. It's the most difficult part is to choose which ones actually make it into the packet. And that could be a number of different reasons why they might not. Some don't scale down very well, some take up too much room, some don't look good flipped, and I could redraw them at that point, but sometimes you find out that you don't actually need 2 extra ones, like they just don't even fit on the page. So yeah, I'm kind of struggling with these mermaids because I don't know. Oh, I just gave away what they were. If you didn't already know. I'm kind of struggling with this packet because they've all got long tails, so I find that I have to scale them down significantly, but I don't want to lose any of that good detail, and I don't want them to look too small. Yeah, these ones have been a little bit difficult. Steve was off today, so Steve was just sitting there doing his work next to me, and this is not unusual. And the cats do come in and help whenever they feel like helping. And help, obviously, I said very sarcastically, they're zero help to me. They help calm me, though. I do love the cats for that. My mom always said that if you're by yourself in your house, you have to have something else living in there. So if you don't have any animals, you should get a plant. I think she said that. I'm pretty sure that came from my mum, but I've always thought about that. Just true. It's really freaky to be the only living thing inside of a house. So when Steve's at work, it really does soothe me to have these cats, my companion pets. Although I'm more certain I'm Oliver's companion human than he is my companion pet. He needs a lot of affection. You can see here. Look, Scrap Fest. We pulled out all this stuff. I had a friend come over and she was actually making a scrapbook album for her mum's birthday, so I said I had tons of stuff and that it would really help if she came over and used it because we are moving at the start of March, so I just wanted to, obviously we weren't going to get through a lot of it, but any bit helps. Today's Thursday, and after a bit of a struggle trying to remove that page from my calendar, I'm ready to do my little bit of morning journaling. Now, I love this as well because, it's just words, and I love the book, but I love to add all my little stickers and stuff in there. I find that I never really reach for stickers, and I love stickers, don't get me wrong, I collect them, but I never use them. So this journal in particular gets a lot of sprocket prints and a lot of stickers, which is great. And now this does as well, this big old scrapbook. So I actually find that having these 2 little books to work in during the day really, really does help destash some of my junk in a way that is fun for me. It's really soothing for me to put stickers down on paper. I don't know about you, but... Changing my label writer. So, since we last chatted in the previous day, obviously I'd put up the washi tapes and they're gone. So that was interesting. And now I have a lot of emails to respond to about when they'll be back again. Like I said, they'll be back in March, early March. But You're going to have a look at the shipping process now. I got this label writer and I got it way too late, let me say that much. There used to be a time where I would print out the labels from my printer and I would cut out this like contact sheet that you would cover books with, this plastic adhesive protective cover, and I would cut those out just to fit around the postage label, and I would cut the postage label out from the piece of paper and I would stick both of those down on the envelope. And that was a mess. Like, that just took so long. Honestly, shipping days used to take me like 6 hours to do that. But now, since I've got the label writer, everything is much more streamlined. It was a bit of an expense, but honestly, it pays for itself. And it just is so much easier to ship as one person now. My book arrived, my book proof. So I did notice there was a few problems with it, some spelling mistakes, which neither Steve or I caught, and then some of the font. I'm going to change the font in it all because it just was a little hard to read. So those are important things to note before you commit to a bigger order, before you start putting it out there. So we'll fix that. You can see that paper drop is another one of those Northern Drops backdrops. Hashtag not sponsored either, by the way, but they were super affordable and they work fantastically. This is a white marble one. So if you go on my Instagram, you can totally see this stuff. Not the video there. I'll actually insert a clip of that video. I think I have it. I'll insert a clip of that Insta story that I made, and you can see that that's just literally how I did it. I don't own a marble table. Steve and I don't own anything marble. It's just simply a paper backdrop. And that's what I love about all this stuff too. I actually get a real kick out of the smoke and mirrors section of all this stuff. I think that's why I'm really drawn to watching people's week in the life videos, because I love to see how they trick it all up. And I thought it might be interesting to share that with you too, that a lot of my backdrops are just paper. Just really high quality printed paper from Northern Drops. I'm saying it so many times because if you need to go out and get these flat lay papers, I want you to know where they are. Northern Drops on Etsy. You can see there, I took photos, some example photos. That legit looks like a marble table. Like, I don't think you ever would have questioned that had I not just shown you the paper. So, yeah. Today's work, before I get to shipping, I guess I should state, is that, announcing my book. That I got the proof back and that pre-orders will happen soon as well. I haven't specifically chosen a date for pre-orders, but I believe I'll put them on pre-order for a week, and then I'll fill all of those orders and then order a surplus stock on top of that. So we'll just wait for social media, I guess. You can see I'm always on Instagram, so if I've ever got anything to write, I'll put it on Instagram. But yeah, just another day in the life, I guess. Lots of photos. I think this whole thing is just me putting together photos and being on Instagram. It honestly is a full-time job, but it keeps me so connected. Like the comments, the feedback, the sharing. I think that's, the fact is that like we're all only in each other's lives because we're contributing to this community. So if I'm not contributing, you guys are going to feel less like you want to contribute, and I think that's why I'm always making sure that I set aside time for it. Here is the fantastic shipping process. Now, I'll ship maybe 2 to 3 days a week because I can get hundreds of orders, and I don't like to do hundreds all at once, mostly because it would just eat into too much of my day, and I don't want to devote too much of my day to that. So I'll generally choose about 50 to 60 orders in the order that they were purchased in, and I'll fill those orders and then wait for another day to fill the rest. But generally like 2 to 3 times a week. At the start of the week, maybe in the middle of the week if I need to, and then on a Friday I'll do that as well. So just splitting it all up. It can be very monotonous, but also very therapeutic. It's that production line process that I kind of enjoy. I don't know. Sometimes I think that I'd be a really good like receptionist, because I really like fiddling with paper and tape and hole punches and photocopying. I love all that stuff. So yeah, if anyone got any clerical jobs out there, I'd be interested. It's Friday, and I've set myself up in the living room today because it's light, bright, and airy, and I thought I'd just ease myself into the day. I'm watching Will and Grace while I do my morning routine, so that explains why I'm gagged out of my mind in the corner. Just, I love it. I think Will and Grace is so funny. I was just setting myself up for a nice day. I don't typically get a weekend, like 2 days off in a row. So whenever I can find these really nice pockets of time where I feel really relaxed and peaceful, I'll just try and give that to myself, just to make sure I'm not feeling overwhelmed or burnt out or crazy. I think it's really important just to factor some of that in. So, if I can set myself up in a nice place while I'm responding to emails, sometimes I'll go outside down by the pool and do it, and respond to comments, getting some of that book stuff reworked before I send it back to the printers, getting all the Etsy stuff ready to ship. Checking Etsy shipping labels can take so long because you have to check every single one before you print it. So I had about 60 to send out today, so just checking through 60 people's information takes time, but I mean, now that I've got this label writer, it just comes out so quickly, so I don't mind checking now because I know that once the checking's done, that's the hardest part. The rest is just monotonous. Printing on 5x7 paper is a fun tip that I found over time. Saves you some paper and saves you some ink to scale down the order slips. If you're an Etsy seller, just swap to 5x7. There you go. But yeah, I decided to set myself up in the living room. Like I said, it was light, bright, and airy, but also the office was a bomb site. I've been trying to make sure that I clean it before I leave, but that's just a habit that's not sticking, unfortunately. Much like my diet. And I wish I could find some time to do my hair. That Guido slickback look apparently is the only thing I have time for these days. In every other clip I pop up, I think I'm wearing a hat too. I just really need a haircut. Going through my Instagram, I'm going to say it again, Instagram is important. It's a lot to manage though, honestly, but it is super important. It's modern marketing. You can't beat it, honestly. You just can't. It's all there for you. It's just so easy. I don't know, why am I raving about Instagram? You guys know. Here's the bomb site. I think it took me about 4 minutes to make this mess. Just chucking stuff all over the desk, honestly, it was just a nightmare. I decided that I was so over looking at the desk that I thought I'd take you on a bit of a tour. There's my girl Stella and Steve, my husband. I like to keep a lot of the stuff that I like really close to my desk on this shelf or on my Ikea mood board that I got. This mood board is so much fun. I said it last year, I think I had a post about it, and I did like tons of Insta stories about it, but I change it seasonally and just add lots of stuff that I love. This is a little book, just a little test print that I did of my first book that's no longer available. The cat's just enjoying themselves. Oliver is so naughty. Steve taught him to bite. I don't deal with that. B, Queen. And Oliver's outside. Oliver tries to get off that balcony. I found him on the other side. I'm currently yelling at him, telling him to get back inside. Pardon the boxes, we're moving, so it's just a nightmare. But he's all acting like he didn't do anything. But he is 100% in trouble for going out there. He's always going out there and trying to jump off the balcony. I don't know what it is. And we're moving to a second floor building in our next apartment, and I'm just nervous he's going to get up there and just try to jump. He's done it ever since he was really little too. He'd just go out there and he was so curious he'd get off over the other side of the fence. But I keep the door open because he hasn't done it yet. I don't know if he really would. I think he just does it for attention. Working on some more client stuff here. I'm going through a bunch of different handwriting options for this logo that I'm working on. I thought it'd be fun for you to see that not everything I do is all art journaling and fairies and mermaids. Still trying to work in a lot of the aesthetic. I like doing logos for my friends, especially like my makeup artist friends, like Stella and Fran, because I can use the imagery that I already create. I can use a lot of my illustrations, I can use a lot of the style and the technique that I already know, and offer them something that is really unique and artistic. It's not clip art, it's not anything you could buy off a stock website, it's them. So this is actually a photo of Fran that I had turned, those are her lips, her eyelashes, and her eyebrows that I had stylized with a brush pen, manually, and then edited it back into the computer, digitized it, and then made a logo out of. So that'll come back. I do a bit more work on that this week as well. And these are fragment samples. These are not the actual samples, these are just the guides that I've taken from some of my favorite illustrations that I want to include in the pack. And then I'll go over them and try and stylize them in a way that I think I might want to include. This was the brush pen option, and I don't know if I loved the brush pen option because when you scale it down, it tends to look a bit thick. So, you know, just playing with all of that. It's obviously nighttime, I'll just say that. That glass of wine isn't there because it's 4 p.m, definitely not. No, it was nighttime and I like to wind down. Like I said, if I can pull some moments for myself to pretend that I'm having a weekend, I'll do it. It's Saturday, so I'm getting into my morning routine and just going to write down a few feelings that I have about yesterday and the day and the week that I've been having. I noticed that a lot of my pages that I've been writing about have been about the videoing process and what it's like to have so many moments captured and so many, like, I just feel like I'm being watched, which is not a bad thing, but it feels a little more intense than usual because it's all my candid moments that are being captured, so it just feels a little bit more vulnerable, which is just a bit of a new feeling. So just writing about that, planning a few things to do for the day. Steve's at home today, so I want to get him in the video. I want to get him in the voiceover because I love having Steve around for the voiceovers. He's always got something fresh to add and something new to share, and I know Steve really enjoys it, so so we get him on there. I'm going to do the twin tags video. I'm just cleaning up some of the stuff from before. I have all of these illustrations just flying around my desk. This is how that orange grab bag started, to be honest. It's just stuff like this, and I'll just keep it in a pile until I'm finished working with it. And then once I'm finished working with it, I don't know what to do with them, so I just stuff them in a bag. Or you can see I've got them all in my tin there, like all these little bits of papers that I need to use just behind the washi tape. I have really consolidated all my junk, honestly. Doing a fun video. I think it's fun to see this part because, you know, so much of what you see on the YouTube video is like 10 minutes of a very carefully edited video where you only see inside of a certain frame. You know, it looks like it kind of gets a little bit messy during the video, but then you're like, oh yeah, it all works out and it's all been fun and fine and dandy. I feel like if you zoom out, this is what you see. It's just chaos everywhere. And you see me, I just reach for things all over the place and things become a mess, and I just try, as long as it's not on screen, I don't care. This was there's lots of pieces flying around, but this wasn't a particularly messy project. On some of the messier ones with the paints, I mean, there is just stuff everywhere. So I think it's fun to see this like zoomed out version of what really goes on and how I really am when I'm making a video. I don't know, it's just something that I haven't shown before, so might be interesting, might not. I mean, you could assume that it probably looks like a mess outside of the frame. If I'm not using that white paper, generally I'll have washi taped out the frame that is in focus, and all of my junk will be outside of that washi tape frame. So I just don't do it on the paper because the paper sometimes slips around and I don't want the washi tape to come into the video. But yeah, getting my stuff done. Steve and I probably run errands and go grocery shopping, do all of that life stuff. You know, I sometimes I forget that I'm also a husband and I have cats and I have friends and family, and I should put some time and attention there. One of the cons to being self-employed, I guess, your brain's always kind of focused on that. So, you know, I'm not really looking for this. You know, I hear work-life balance a lot, and I totally understand what that means for some people, but I just don't know. I don't know how much of it really applies to what I need to think about, because I have so much freedom to choose what I want to do. So that I feel like I'm not looking to be 50-50. I'm not looking to say like, okay, like I'll do exactly what Steve does. I'll commit those amount of hours to work and the rest I just have to take off. No, I just generally check in with myself at every point, and if I feel like I'm overwhelming myself with work, I'll take it off a little bit easier. I'll just give myself a little bit of a break. And if I feel like I'm not doing enough, I'll tell myself I need to go do more. So I think that's one of the pros of like that I believe for me having my own business is that I get to have that choice over it. Sometimes with deadlines and stuff like that and pressure, like I definitely don't have the choice and I just have to work through. But for the most part, I can choose to have the morning if I need the morning. You know, I can always do my work later at night. it's kind of a luxury to be able to say, like, you know what, you need a long lunch today, so just go and have one. It's just kind of hard to bring yourself back to work afterwards. But I like a lot of the work I do, so it's kind of fine. I'm going to show you some of the voiceover with Steve, and I'll cut it in with the actual video, and I just think it's fun to see, like, I mean, you'll probably never watch another video without thinking of us standing in this place, but this is exactly how these videos go down, so I don't know, I wanted to share it with you.
But it is one of those things, it's like, why do we say that? Do we say that to make ourselves feel better? Or is that a kind way of being like, we're really not going to actually hang out, but the intention is there?
No, I will tell you a really funny story.
Okay.
I ran into a girl, she'll never see this, so it's fine. I ran into a girl I used to go to high school with, and she legit said to me, "Oh, it was really nice running into you, I'll probably never see you again, have a great life."
I mean, that's so honest.
It was so honest, and I thought I would appreciate it, but I was so taken aback by it because it was what I was thinking in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But she was saying it to me, and I thought she was also the kind of girl, like, I didn't know that well.
Right.
In high school, I kind of did, but I didn't really know any. Out of business.
For a week hiatus.
I might be on a week hiatus at the start of March, but we'll worry about that when it comes.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thanks for joining me, Steve, in this random podcast type episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There is Steve and I just hanging out, doing a voiceover. Steve really likes to get involved. I get nervous because generally I can do the same voiceover so many times, but with Steve, he doesn't like to redo them, so it's kind of like a one and done deal, and I get a little bit nervous about it. And my Copic markers arrived, so I've actually since made a video. I think maybe at the end of this you'll see me making a video with these. But these are the Copic EX5. I love Copic markers. Ever since Steve got me the sketch markers for Christmas, I've been trying to buy more. I just don't have a reason to. I mean, I always say, like, it's a business expense, but even I know, even Steve knows that's just an excuse because I want it. But, you know, I never really treat myself. I don't have any kind of allowance for stuff. All of my money that I make, like disposable income, goes back into my business. I remember when I used to have like a $50 capital investment in my business. Like, that was my revolving capital. I could buy whatever products I could for $50 and then I'd sell them online for whatever I could get. And now obviously that, you know, since I've been expanding my product line and making this, you know, full-time job, the investment capital is just, it's revolving at a much bigger rate now, but the risk is also much bigger, and so I don't really ever give myself any kind of disposable income. So every now and then I will kind of treat myself, and this was definitely a bit of a treat. And I accidentally got another treat, which is another set coming as well that are pastel. I'm working on some more logo stuff here from my friend Fran, just getting that stuff squared away and sending her the final proofs for things, seeing if she wants anything tweaked. I also have been making these face charts. I first did one for Stella when she would go on meetings with the clients to do their trials, like bridal trials and stuff like that. She was noticing that she was just kind of, you know, making notes on her phone, I think, for the makeup that she was using, and she just thought it'd be really great to have like kind of a notepad or a note card or something that she could keep track of what she was using. So I actually made her a file and printed out all of these kind of face charts, and so Fran saw that and she really wanted one as well, so I said, you know, I'll do that with your logo on it, we'll make it different. But for Stella's, I used the illustration that I did for She Leapt Off the Page. I just stylized it, and for this one, this is actually one of the illustrations from Inktober, but I've, you know, photoshopped parts of it out and obviously made it very heavily stylized. But just another one of those things that I like doing for clients because you know, no one else is going to have it. You know, you can't find this on Google Images and take it. It's not stock image. It's something very personal, and because they're my friends, I'm willing to do that for them. And yeah, I mean, I don't really do much of this stuff anymore. Most of my commission and custom work is, I'm very selective about it because I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of it. But, you know, for friends, I'll always invest time and attention. Fran also just helped us out on the Harry Potter shoot. If you haven't seen that, on my Instagram or Steve's Instagram, at Steve Lemonis Photography, there's a video and you can see Fran and her work in there, and she did an absolutely incredible job. So very blessed to be around so many fantastic makeup artists. It's Sunday and it's supposed to be my day of rest, but apparently it's Oliver's day of rest. He's stolen my work chair and he's just gonna chill there until I get rid of him. I'll let him sit there for a little while longer, but yeah, like I said, it would be my day of rest, which doesn't mean I'm going to take the whole day off. Like, I would never take a whole Sunday off. I just don't do any filming or responding to emails or editing or, I don't do any of that businessy stuff. I would typically just sketch or play in my art journals or do something just for me, just for fun. And that's what I kind of mean by not working and taking the day off. There's Bea just enjoying her morning. That monkey she's had since she was a kitten. She's obsessed with it. It's like her, is it transitional toy or something? I don't know. I think that's just for babies. I don't know. But yeah, I would typically take Sunday off, and we'd go to church in the morning, and then we'd have a day out because we'd already be out, so we might as well just go to the shopping center and do some window shopping or go see friends. But Steve was working today, so technically I had the day available to me, and I thought, it's the last day of my work week. This is the last day I'm going to take you, through my work schedule. So I thought I might as well just do some more work. And I didn't have a problem with that. This is my sketch planner. You can see it's more turned into a scrapbook, which I love. I think having all that stuff in there is, first of all, it's a great way to get rid of it from my desk and still have access to it in like a really fun way. Also, it just really makes me want to use the planner because it looks so great, and I'm really struggling. I don't know if I should cover this book or not. I feel like I just love the plain look of it. I always thought I would cover it, but I don't know. If it gets dirty, I'll probably cover it, but for now it's clean and I like it. Just doing my morning journaling, writing some things about my feelings about this video, how it's gone, and what I was nervous about. I mean, there was like over 10 hours of footage, and I didn't even know what I was going to voice over. So having come to the end of the voiceover now, I'm okay, but I have been nervous about that this entire time. There's a lot of talking and a lot to discuss, and I know that my voice can be a little grating sometimes, for me anyway. I don't know what you guys think, but I didn't know. I didn't even know what I was going to say. I made a little Instagram teaser video, which is fun. I love a good Instagram teaser. How many times have I told you already that Instagram is a great tool? Honestly, I don't think half of my business would be here without Instagram. So I'm going to sing its praises. I hope you enjoyed coming to work with me this week. It is kind of a relatively normal week. I did a lot of the things that I would typically get up to, like shipping and creating new products and lots of videoing and I think I've shown you a lot of the stuff that I would typically get up to, but the amount that I do and the ways that I do it kind of vary depending on what day you catch me on. Like I said, one of the biggest perks about being self-employed is that I have so much choice in the matter, and I really get to direct what I want to do in the day and how I want to do it. So I'll typically just work with however I'm feeling, but this is a lot of what I get up to. So I hope you found it interesting. I hope you got something from it if you were looking to get something from it. If you were just joining me for the voiceover, you're crazy. How could you possibly enjoy 50 minutes of my voice? No, that would really flatter me if you were just here listening to me, and because I do it too. I listen to people all the time on YouTube and feel like they're my friends. But I'm happy to have taken you along. I hope it just gives you a good insight. Sometimes I feel like it's a bit of a mystery what I do, and typically this is it. I'm sitting in the house and I'm just always kind of tinkering and putting things together and thinking about new things to do. Always moving forward and doing more stuff. I think one of the biggest things I wanted to show you is that I'm just one person, and I really do set out to achieve the most. Like, I try to do the most and be the most. I'm so ultra like that. Like, I just want to do everything I can. So I typically just, shoot for the stars and try to do it all. And it really is an effort just to encourage you and to make sure that everything I'm putting out there is something that you might be taken with, and that would just push you to create and push you to explore the limits of your creativity. I want you to know that I'm such a champion of that, and that is just, this is what I do all of it for. It is so great for me to be able to have this job where I get to decide a lot of what goes on. Lots of pros and cons about it, but ultimately my mission is to make sure that you're out there and you know that that someone cares about your creativity. If no one's ever told you that before, or if you haven't heard that since kindergarten, I want to be the one to tell you that I really do care for you to express yourself like that. And if you're out there and you're looking to start a small business and you're scared, you should be. It's crazy. If you don't need to, I don't know how much I'd be telling you to do it. I'll leave you with this fun little story to end on, and I don't want you to take this as like, you know, the overall reason I did this video, but it is a funny story, and I will just say most of this happened because I didn't really have a choice in the matter. You'll know if you watched my Q&A videos before that I've talked about an accident that kind of that happened, and I stopped dancing, which has been my career ever since I left high school. I had to do something. I couldn't use my feet, so I had to use my hands. And so I just decided to turn it into an arts and crafts business. I've always loved that, and I thought it'd be something that I could commit myself to. And I did everything I could to learn as much as I could, as quickly as I could, and I applied everything I've ever understood about anything to making this a business. And you know, I came to the States, I immigrated, and this is the land of opportunity, and unfortunately there wasn't much opportunity for me at the time that I arrived, and the opportunities that I was looking for, nothing worked out, and it was devastating. I thought, I've put in so much time and effort into recovering from this accident. How could I not get a dance job? Like, how could I not? And even applying for part-time jobs, I couldn't get one. And I'll just leave you with this one. I applied to work part-time at the Michaels down my street, and I did not get the job. So I decided to make my own. I decided to because I had no other choice. The only offer I got was for a poke place, which is kind of like deconstructed sushi bowls, if you don't know what poke is. And it was for minimum wage, and I just thought I would totally do it if I had nothing else, but I know if I really set my mind to this business, I can do something good with this, and I might just be able to make more than minimum wage. It might take me a few months to get there, but I was like, Steve, I need to commit myself to this because I don't think I'm going to be happy spending 8 hours a day down at the poke place when I know I could try this. And so I tried it kind of out of necessity. Here we are now, so I'm really happy with everything, and honestly, like, I've just been relying, you know, blind faith to take me through most of this process, and it has been really, really crazy, and I know it's just going to get crazier, but you know, that's what life is, right? You just do what you can with what you got. So I want to encourage you out there to, you know, express all of your creativity in every way you know how, and I want to champion that in you, and I want to keep this business going, and I want to keep it growing so that we can all just be in that together. And you know, it really does change people's lives when you start to express yourself like that. The happier you are because you're feeling fulfilled, the happier you're going to make people around you. So I'm going to stop with all the life advice like I even know anything. I've been watching way too much Oprah. And until next time, thanks for watching the video, and thanks for coming to work with me. I'll send your paycheck out in the mail. Bye.